Hello everyone, Xanero Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and in today's video I am going to start working on the compilation videos for the Union Arena trading card game, just the local tournament scene. I am going to be doing these videos, trying to do maybe every 7 to 14 days just to give the EX Burst site some time to update with some new tournaments. Please, if you, like your local game store has tournaments, please record that data. You can grab it straight from the Bandai TCG Plus app. That makes it really easy for you to see all the players that you had at your tournaments. Take that data, try to compile it into some information. It can be really easy. All you have to do on EX Burst is list the winning deck list and then just, say what everyone else is playing. You don't have to provide a deck list. That way, everyone in the community, until some of these big regionals get announced and happen for the card game, this will give all the content creators in the community some kind of idea and grasp on what exactly people are playing, right? So with these videos, I'm sorry for the little rundown, but I will do these videos, but I want to give everyone some kind of like grasp of what I'm trying to accomplish with these, right? Just grabbing local game store weekly Union Arena tournaments, or even if you do a webcam tournament on any servers, the same thing is that. Just get the decks that they're playing. You don't have to get deck list. Only for the winning deck list do you need to get the actual deck list. Just put that information on exburst.dev. It's really easy. All you have to do is go to community, tournament results here, and then you can post your own tournament right there. But you guys, I'm saying all this, but you can't see it because it's on me. So I will make myself go away, and then I will kind of show y'all what I'm talking about here. So this is on the site here. All you have to do is on EX Burst, go to community, go to tournament results. It will pop up this little thing, and all you have to do is click post your tournament results here, a short description, and then just try to put the different decks that were winning. Okay, with that being said, I do want to start on this video. I am waiting on 2 other tournaments results to get placed. I myself did participate in one last night, and then there's also one that happens on Saturday nights and Friday nights from different servers that I'm waiting for those to get posted. So there will be a part 2 to this video. I will timestamp it, but it should all be one cohesive video. So going through this video, I do want to go through the last ones that I did, and I got 4 different ones on here. We are going from 421 all the way up to 424. The last 4 different tournaments they have on here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, because I covered all the other tournaments from the last video I did. So with that being said, from the Top Deck Games Monday night games they do, I'm pretty sure that this is a local game store in New Jersey. I could be wrong. I've been trying to figure out and reach out to it, but big shout out to you guys for hosting your Monday night locals. If you are someone who does this and it is webcam, please reach out to me. I would like to help you out and participate. If this is just local data from your local game store, keep doing this. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate it. So in this one, they had an 8-man local event, an 8-person local event, and it had a pretty decent mix-up of decks outside of seeing, Blue JJK having 3 decks played, Onepunchman yellow 2, Onepunchman green 1, Demonslayer yellow 1, and then purple codegeass 1. And then the topping went, in their tournament, the yellow Onepunchman deck did get first place. I won't go over any deck lists in this video because, like I said, in these videos I like to cover the tournament results, all the different decks that got played, compile all this data, then give you guys a percentage of all the decks that were played, and then also the percentage of the decks that won. There will be 2 different pie charts doing this data, and like I said, we're just going to go through all the tournament results, get all that, and I'll make a separate video going through deck lists, and we can be kind of more in-depth about that. But second place coming up is Tiger With, and he played yellow Demonslayer, really cool, definitely a really good deck. And then Giancarlo played purple codegeass and got 3rd place. Shout out to them. To note that the green Saitama did get 4th. I know most people are trying to say at this point in the game that they think that green Onepunchman is kind of oppressive, and I am also on the agreement that if this deck high rolls you and they cycle really fast, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't seem very skill expressive to have, you know, One Punch Man get to that point and then win the game. But I do think that makes for where these aggressive decks like Demon Slayer and hopefully Sword Art Online, the blue switch multi-attacker deck, can apply some pressure to the green One Punch Man, and maybe those aren't as prevalent. But they had a lot of people at their locals playing blue JJK, and not one of them top, which is also very interesting to see here. That one didn't get the top, and then these other 3 decks did top. So good on those guys. Going to the next one, 423. This one just says Blackwood, New Jersey, Akihabara Bazaar. I'm assuming that this is a local game store in New Jersey. If you guys do any webcam stuff, like I said, reach out to me, comment in the video below. Let me know who you are. If you have a server, I would love to help support you guys on your server. But if this is just your local game store tournament weekly, thank you for providing this to EXPerse, and please keep doing so. So in their tournament, they had, you know, 8 players, 2 green One Punch Mans, 1 blue JJK, 1 green codegeass, 1 purple codegeass, 1 yellow One Punch Man, 1 yellow bleach, and 1 red One Punch Man. The green One Punch Man deck did take first and third. Met Mercury and JRL Dis. Both getting first and third with green One Punch Man. And like I said, that a lot of people are feeling that One Punch Man is probably the best deck in the format, mainly because you can just win really fast on one turn with the Saitama coming out, and it is very consistent being able to cycle through your deck, put all these cards into your sideline, playing pretty cheap. And unless a deck can really press this deck early in the game, you really do have a hard time trying to beat it. I do think this deck matches up good against blue JJK, so very interesting, cool to see the blue JJK player Diablos getting second place at his local tournament here with the blue JJK, which we've seen blue JJK really running the meta up until, you know, the green One Punch Man. And I really do think that Union Arena, the trading card game, is in such a great spot at the moment. I know people have issue with certain decks, but I do think that now with One Punch Man, all these other decks in the mix, it makes for a really diverse, like, top 10 decks. Just to note on this one, when I go to do the tournament results, I'm only doing the top 3 unless the tournament is over 10 players. Then I'll do the top 4, because then I feel like in most cases, second, third, and fourth are usually in a, you know, multi-way tie, and 4th place is always the odd man looking out. And I think that we do need to know what those decks do. So in tournaments that have over 8, I will include 4th place, because they in most cases have the same record as second and third. They probably just lost their first round and won out, which is the issue. That happened to me last night, actually. Won the first round, or lost first round, won 4 in a row, and had to get 4th since I lost so early. But going on to the next tournament, that is for them there. We have Game Nut Topeka. This was Game Nut Topeka is the organizer. Only 8 players. This was on the 24th. And this is, I'm assuming, their locals. It doesn't say where it's at, but shout out to you guys. Just like everything else, if you have a server, you guys do webcams, comment on the video below, or, you know, let me DM me somewhere, and I will try to, you know, help you guys out. They had 3 blue JJKs. Like I said, the blue JJK decks are not going anywhere. 2 yellow One Punch Man, 1 yellow Demon Slayer, 1 green bleach, and 1 purple codegeass. And Andrew did take first place at his locals with the blue JJK here at the Topeka locals. Logan came up in second place with the yellow Demon Slayer deck, looking like a Hashira deck from the image here. No deck list provided. Alex Simmons, yes, I'd love to see green bleach showing up in the meta, sneaking in these, you know, top finishes. We will check that deck out later, even though it's not a winning deck. And then coming up in 4th place is the yellow Saitama deck. Curious to see no green Saitamas in this tournament. So interesting here, looking like the One Punch Man players choosing to go the yellow route. And I do like seeing, you know, Hashiras and green bleach. I do think that green bleach gets a little bit better once people have the Sword Art Online decks, because the green bleach does a good job of tapping down their backline and keeping them tapped down. And even though you can switch up characters, they don't become active when you switch. So those Asanas not able to really apply a lot of pressure. If you are looking for a nice rogue deck to play, I do think that green bleach is a good meta call, considering once the SAO decks come out, they are going to be trying to move up their backline and swing, and Toshi says you can't do that. So that is the Topeka one. Going on to the last one that we'll cover in this first part of the video. And this one was kind of a doozy. They had 11 players. This is Midgard Gaming organizing in Midgard, so shout out to them for organizing this tournament. The top 5 decks all finished 3-1. Very interesting to see. So that probably means that the bottom 3 players didn't get a single win if all top 5 decks all finished 3-1. So this one is over 8 player caps. Like I said, I will take the top 4, but since they are saying that all top 5 players are 3-1, we may end up sneaking this blue JJK in, because like I said, I think going, you know, X1 throughout a tournament does show that you are essentially a topping deck. So he just is unlucky that he did not get a top finish at this tournament. But going into the usage chart, they do have 4 blue JJKs in the tournament. Like I said, this deck's not going anywhere, still very, very relevant. This can be very, you know, consistent in tournaments. 2 purple bleach, 2 purple codegeass, 1 yellow one-punchman, 1 green one-punchman, and 1 green codegeass. Really, really cool to see here. Jordan and Troy both playing purple bleach and making a 100% conversion rate on their decks here. Very interesting to see. I would like to look at both of these deck lists when we do the second video going over topping deck lists in these tournaments. This one maybe probably being more of a traditional Ringy Rush style, and then the Troy actually probably running like a pretty cool toolbox purple deck. So very interesting to see 2 purple bleaches getting first and second. Shout out to Jordan and Troy. And then in third place we do have Kirito709 running the One Punch Man yellow. This guy's name is Kirito, so it will be curious to see if Kirito starts playing, you know, Kirito Sword Art Online decks. I will say that I do think the Sword Art Online decks are going to be a really nice welcome to the meta for sure. They're going to have a nice place. I do think even before they came out, the meta was pretty healthy, and they will just make it even healthier, providing a lot more really cool, strong decks to play. In fourth place, a purple codegeass. Very interesting to see that a purple codegeass and none of these other tournaments did well outside of the Giancarlo getting the top, but still a very consistent deck. It's not going anywhere either. I do think that this deck is a little more difficult to pilot than the Blue JJK, and I think that that's why it's always just a little bit less in attendance than Blue JJK is, whereas Blue JJK is a lot easier to pilot. And then that is Evan showing up in 5th place with the 31 finish with the Blue JJK. Very versatile deck that we've seen always, you know, making up on tops. So once these other 2 tournaments come out, I will cover that data and then finish this video. Okay, to do the second part of this video, I was trying to wait for the Rumble Ramba information to get posted from the tournament that happened Sunday night in the Rumble Ramba Discord server, but they are taking a little time to get it posted. But that is okay, because I am going to take data from this last event that was posted from Top Deck Games Monday night. They finished their tournament there. This was, you know, just last night. They had 10 players. They're from New Jersey. Really cool that they're giving us their information here. With this deck, this tournament here, that will give us 45 players, which I'm trying to really stay between, you know, 35 being the minimum for the last 10 days of players. Being like that being, you know, a decent little regional kind of local count. You know, most regionals are, you know, 36 players minimum. So I think 45 player count is good enough for us to go off of. And I will be taking the top 17 decks from this information to put into the pie chart for you guys, so that way we can kind of see what the meta is going on. Now, one thing to note is I don't think any of these tournaments will have any of the I'm blanking on the name. It's so important. Sword Art Online decks. So I do think that this is a great cutoff to, you know, see what was happening before the Sword Art Online decks came out, and then so it ends up working out all together, right? So not having the information on Sunday is fine, because I know a couple players were playing with the Sword Art Online deck. So this will be the cutoff from, you know, pre-Sword Art Online to now. So I actually think it's perfect that I'm not doing the data from Sunday and just doing the one from the last 5 days. Now, in the first part of the video, we did cover the first 4 tournaments that happened, and I just want to cover this last one that got posted from Top Deck Games. Now, they did have, you know, 2 yellow One Punch Man decks, 2 blue JJKs, 1 green One Punch Man, 1 purple codegeass, 1 green codegeass, 1 green hunterxhunter, love to see that, 1 red demonslayer, and 1 red One Punch Man. So a pretty diverse meta for their locals, which is really, really cool. And if we can go over here seeing the top deck list, we see here we do have purple codegeass taking the W at their event. And then, yes, right there behind it is the green One-Punch-Man. Like I said, definitely what most people are thinking the strongest deck in the meta. But, you know, other decks can compete, right? And then we have rolling up in 3rd and 4th place. I will take both of these because this is 10, like I said, for the cutoff of 10. Just to get more data of players. These people are all probably all 3, you know, 4 wins, 1 loss, or 3 wins, 1 loss. So essentially the same thing, and it really just messed with their tiebreakers, right? But 3rd place, Bacho with the green Suzaku, green Kogeass deck. Really good deck. And then Kyotso playing the green Kurapika Hunter deck. You know, I am a Kurapika stan, so I love to see Kurapika doing well. Very diverse meta that they have here at Top Deck Games, which is really, really cool. Love to see this. I think I did try to reach out to their channel. I think that theirs are all in person at their local game store, and then they just post the data, which is really, really cool. If any of you guys are watching this and are interested in doing some of the Discord webcam tournaments, let me know, and I'll get you guys in on that too through the different servers I've been trying to help out with these tournaments. But that being said, I have all the data from all of these 5 different webcam or local tournament levels, and then all of these were really good because it's 8, 8, 8, 11, and 10 players for all these tournaments. And then I have it all in here, so let's get into the pie chart. This makes it a little bit smoother of a transition. So you can see here the main winning decks are going to be the green One-Punch-Man and the purple Kogeass, both getting 3 tops each in these 5 tournaments. So having a really good conversion rate based off of, you know, how they were played. A lot more green Saitama were played than the purple Kogeass. A lot more actually. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then only... Yeah, as a conversion of 8 as compared to 4, right? So 4 of the purple codes played and got their tops in these tournaments, whereas a lot more green One-Punch-Man played and got the same amount of tops. I do think that these are both very, very different decks, and it is interesting to see purple Kogeass still doing really well against, I guess, these green One-Punch-Man decks. If we can go like to the tournaments, seeing that each of these tops that the purple Kogeass got, there was a green One-Punch-Man involved. So maybe my understanding of that matchup is a little skewed in favor of me losing all the time. Like you can see here, 2 green One-Punch-Mans and a purple Kogeass player top. That was actually one of the only ones that didn't top. And then here, there was a green One-Punch-Man and the purple got over it. So maybe my understanding of this matchup is a little skewed. I thought One-Punch-Man kind of walls out the purple Kogeass deck, but maybe people are just choosing to play a little more aggressive, swinging in with their early bodies, and then really trying to push the state of the game to give, you know, less time for the green One-Punch-Man to really scale up throughout the game. But this deck's not going anywhere, the purple Kogeass. We know that it is a consistent deck that'll keep staying one of the top 10 decks in the meta for sure, and I think so will the green One-Punch-Man. I think that now people know that they really, as soon as you've seen green One-Punch-Man cards on the board, you really need to accelerate your rate of the game and just try to take them out as fast as possible. So I do think that people are going to start playing around green One-Punch-Man a lot better to try to like keep these decks from, you know, getting to the 15 drop and just winning the game, which is exactly what they do, right? So really cool. These are definitely the 2 top decks. They both got 3 tops throughout these 45 players in the tournament. We do have 17 decks here or 17 different tops in this list, and I could just show you the data here. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1 for all the different decks that top. We do have a pretty diverse, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different decks topping throughout these local tournaments is a good sign of a good, healthy meta, having all these different decks top and then not one deck taking up 50%, right? So those are the 2 top decks from this past week at locals and webcams from the data that I could take. And then going down the line, next up, we obviously have blue JJK, purple Bleach, and yellow One-Punch-Man Saitama all getting 2 tops apiece. So really just bringing up the rear not too far away from the purple Kogeass and the green One-Punch-Man. Purple Bleach, yellow One-Punch-Man, and blue JJK, all very consistent good decks. And it is nice to see purple Bleach show up and, you know, in these tournaments. I think with a lot of people playing green One-Punch-Man, you know, the purple Renji Rush style of decks can really, you know, push the state of the game against the green One-Punch-Man. So I do think that purple Bleach is in a good meta. If you know that a lot of people at your locals or any tournaments that you're going to are going to bring a lot of green One-Punch-Man, I do think that the purple bleach has had a resurgence thanks to that deck being so prevalent in the meta, and you can just kind of rush them down, which makes it a little easier, right? And then we do have, like I said, the yellow One-Punch-Man bringing up 2. This deck, honestly, to me, feels a lot more oppressive than the green One-Punch-Man the more I test against it. It is a lot more volatile. I don't think it's as, like, consistent in its win condition. But if on turn 3 your opponent plays down 2 of the Saitamas, if they have the hero to, you know, get their action points back, and they can put 2 down on turn 3, you really just lose the game. And I feel like it is so strong and oppressive. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, and the deck does lead to a little more bricking because you have to see the Saitamas, right? If you don't have the Saitamas, the deck doesn't have as good of a win potential outside of some of the other, you know, toolbox stuff that you could put in the deck. But this deck, when it is on curve, I think it is just so strong and oppressive. Both of the One-Punch-Man decks, in my opinion, aren't as fun to play against as other games in the card game because their stat line and just having this blanket protection makes it where other decks can't interact with them, right? Like, you don't feel like you have an opportunity to answer any of their boards when they have Saitamas out because they're protected. And I do think that that is a cheap way of game, you know, design stuff like that, and then, you know, not give people ways to out the bodies. That's just my stand on One-Punch-Man decks. Like, more power to anyone playing them. I do think they are both 2 of the least of my favorite decks to play against, to be completely honest, because green just, you know, mindlessly just builds up to their Saitama, and then they just win the game. If they get there, it does leave a little bit more play to you to, you know, out those kings on the board to really pressure the state of the game. But they do just win once they get the green down, and I do think the yellow Saitama, if they just see the perfect hand, no deck beats this when they are able to play it out to a mount on that turn 3. It's so oppressive. There's not much you can do, and it's really, really strong. But, you know, it's not crazy, right? Because there is play into these decks. I just think they're not as interactive. But big shout out to the One-Punch-Man deck showing up. If you combine this as a set together, right, that means there's 5 One-Punch-Man decks in the top, which takes up a pretty decent chunk of the meta. Now, going on to the last one that got 2 tops, it is the Blue JJK. This deck isn't going anywhere. It also has a really high roll. If it does high roll with all the fingers, it feels, you know, really hard to play against, but not the same as the high roll as the Saitama, in my opinion. There are still things that you can do against this deck because you can kill their bodies, so there are ways to play around it. But Blue JJK just shows up as a consistent, powerful deck that you can keep playing in the meta. It's not going anywhere, and it only will get better later. So really cool to see that it also got 2 tops. Now, rounding out the end of the tops, there are 1 of 5 different decks, which really, like I said, this is a healthy meta, and I do think that Sword Art Online will mix it up a little bit more, so I expect this pie chart to get even bigger. This pie chart is not as diversified as the first one I did. As you can see here, some of the decks that I had to take, you know, zeros out on. The red One-Punch-Man Garo not getting a top. Yellow JJK Megumi not getting a top, but I think that because this is the tournament that one player who plays it didn't show up maybe in any of these other tournaments. And then yellow One-Punch-Man Sisters was one of the decks that is typically a top deck that did not get it. So I did want to share that data a little bit for everyone to know that, you know, some of these decks that have topped in the past have not topped here, which is very interesting, right? But we do have, you know, Green Bleach, Toshi getting a top, and I do think that Toshi players will be eating so much better once Sword Art Online comes out too, because I do think they already have a great matchup going into Saitama, being able to tap down their energy line and not letting them move anything up. And then it gets even better once you play against the Sword Art Online decks, because the blue Sword Art Online deck is able to bring its energy line up to also get an extra swings, and Toshi, if you have enough court guards out, is able to stun their back line, so even if they move them up, they can no longer swing with them. And I think that if you are a Green Bleach player, keep believing in this deck. I think the meta will suit you even better once all these Sword Art Online decks come out. But happy to see Toshi still get 1 top in these tournaments, which is really, really cool. We also have green codegeass Suzaku getting a top in these tournaments. Really strong deck. I do think that this is also another deck. If you just on curve C3 on your 3 action point turn, you're able to go into a 6 and an 8 drop. That is 4 damage on your opponent. That, you know, is really, really strong. But unlike the Saitama deck, where if that same play happens to you, you can answer the mechs. Whereas, like, that's why I think that this deck doesn't feel as bad to play against, because you can answer the mechs, you can kill them, they have to leave the board, they will get some value back from him if you kill the 6 drop, but you can answer those bodies, whereas the One-Punch-Man decks, you can't answer the bodies because they have the protection, and not only do they have the protection, the issue with them having that 10,000 BP means a lot of other decks cannot answer them, but glad to see Green Suzaku doing a good job to the player who topped with this deck. I believe in this deck a lot. It is really, really cool. Staying on the, green train, we do have one person doing me happy and proud, topping with a Kurapika, which is really, really cool to see Kurapika get a top in these tournaments. If Kurapika is just not as consistent, I think, as Suzaku and some of these other decks, but if you are able to always see the Kurapika, you can answer just about every board outside of the Saitama boards. But I do think that even in these Saitama matchups, you being able to snipe over in green, you snipe over the king, that messes up their plays. And in yellow, if you snipe over the Genoses, you can do some really cool stuff too, which is really good because you'll still get that impact through. And even if they are able to restand their Saitama, you've already gotten a point of damage in, whereas a lot of other decks, they bait that Genos and then, make it where your Saitama blocks the next hit. So you're always guaranteed that one little bit of damage. I do think Kurapika is in a good spot. He does get a little bit of support in set 2, but I think that even without that support, Kurapika is in a good spot. If you build your deck consistently and you see your lines, you can really, eat well or starve. It is a, go hard or starve deck, because if you don't see any of the impact Kurapikas or raid Kurapikas, you are going to be in trouble. And that actually happened to me recently in the tournament that I was in Sunday, not able to see any of my Kurapikas, even though it was a really close game. You have to see your Kurapikas. So I'll have to do some more research. I know there's a couple of good cards coming in the next set, but Kurapika is still showing that he is standing the test of time, being one of the decks from the first set. This deck and the Purple Bleach being able to show up and do some cool things, showing that, these decks got made in the past, but they can still compete with all the other decks in the format as long as you know what you're playing against and you know your outs and you're able to do some creative deck building. Now, the last deck that we have topping here is going to be one Hashira deck did get a top. Hashira Toolbox is such a good deck. I don't think that this deck will ever go anywhere. It's all very pilot oriented and deck building and teching oriented in the meta at the moment. You can always find a place for Hashiras to do well in any tournament as long as you know your ins and outs of your deck and you are really good about doing the creative deck building. And I do think that Hashira decks do steam out a little bit, but they apply so much pressure early that you can get these wins in. But I do think that if you don't see some of the double attackers or double blockers early enough, it puts you in a hard matchup against other decks. But you do have a lot of different ways to outboards. And just yellow being able to have that color trigger to keep something tapped down is what makes yellow just so absolutely insanely strong. I love that color trigger more and more. I do think it is the best one, whereas, green and purple let you play the bodies. Those are all stipulation like rides. So like purple, you got to get it from the sideline. Green, you got to play it from your hand. You don't always have that cards. Whereas yellow's, color trigger is always impactful and always does something. Because if they're swinging and checking something and say it's just that one character, you still just tap that one down to keep it tapped down, right? So it's always relevant and it is such a good trigger. Glad to see Hashira was doing a good job here. This is the pie chart for the second time that I am doing the Union Arena kind of meta breakdown. These are the decks that are performing well right now. I do think that, the sort of online decks are going to come in full force and take a couple of these spots. But I don't foresee any of these decks, going away and having a bad time. I just think that this pie chart will stay being very colorful and different, which is what we want to see, right? We want to see this pie chart stay really pretty and colorful and have all this different stuff going on, so that way we know the game's in a good spot. And the game is in a really, really healthy spot at the moment, having so many different decks. I think when you get into a point where there's only 4 or 5 decks, the meta becomes a little more stale, but we've always had multiple decks in the format, and this is great to see. Let me know what you guys think about the state of the Union Arena trading card game meta. What decks are you foreseeing are going to perform well? What do you not like seeing? I want to hear what you guys have to say about the game, because I love talking about this game every day. It's so much fun. Please leave this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and do me a favor and share this video. The channel is slowly growing. I'm going to try to work on my presentation a little bit more and do cool stuff like this for you. But share this out here for anyone who wants information about Union Arena. Share this pie chart. I'll try to leave a link to it in the description below, or put an image up at the end here and take my face away so that way you don't have to see that, and you can just screenshot it and share it. But I appreciate everybody hanging out with me today. Peace.